Are you ready? Stand by.
Welcome to the Three Gun Show, episode 84. I'm your host, Dave Hartman, coming at you from Gunnison, Colorado. My guest this week is Three Gun Nation pro Kyle Simank from Guns Plus. This episode is brought to you by MGM Targets. Have you ever been in a match and thought, wow, I really need practice on those skinny knockdowns, or long-range practice sure would be easier if I had a couple of steel targets with hit indicators? Well, you can get the same quality steel targets that you find in major matches at MGM Targets. My favorite target lately has been the standard shape auto poppers. Those little things are challenging for pistol, shotgun, or rifle, and because they automatically reset, you can run more drills and drills with positional work without bothering to break for reset. Step up your practice or outfit your range and use the code DHMGM10 to save 10% on your purchase. MGM Targets has been putting up some great prizes to give away to you. July's giveaway is for an MGM Switch View lever. For details and to enter, go to 3gunshow.com/MGM. I've had a lot of requests for the new 3-Gun Show stickers over the last few months. If you haven't seen the design, they're really cool. It's the same design that you'll see on jerseys from guys like Nick Atkinson, Matt Kupica, Zach Weaver, and also the Rocky Mountain Targets guys. So I'm happy to give away some to you if you see me at a match. But if you can't wait, you can go to 3gunshow.com/store and purchase them there. In this episode, Kyle is on the show to discuss his company, Guns Plus, helping manufacturers develop 3-gun specific products, and his plan for domination on his home turf at Starlight 3-Gun. Links to everything we discuss can be found in the show notes at 3gunshow.com/episode 84, or you can just tap the album art on your smartphone and it will take you right there. Now, please join me in welcoming the show, Kyle Simank. Kyle, welcome to the 3-Gun Show.
Hey, thanks for having me on here, Dave.
I'm excited to have you, man. It's we've had the chance to spend some time together in person. We tried to shoot a match together, the 3-Gun Nation Southwestern Regional, and it didn't quite work out. I shot the match.
Weather got in the way of that one.
Yeah. And but yeah, so I'm excited to have you on the show here and be able to share the Kyle Simank experience with the rest of the world.
I mean, normally you got to pay extra for that, so it's a pretty good deal.
It's true. It was very expensive when I was in Texas. Although, we should probably tell the, I kind of want to, give the audience a little bit of an intro to you, but I also want to tell them the story of how I got all your guns. So Kyle, why don't you tell the audience who you are off the range, what you're doing when you're not shooting 3-gun.
So my name's Kyle Simank, and I own Guns Plus, which is a kind of a smaller gun shop in Georgetown, Texas. We do basically anything related to guns. So whether it's buying and selling new, used guns, I do all our gunsmithing work. So anything from changing sights to full-out precision rifle builds, build competition shotguns, rifles, everything else. We also offer a full line of training. So if you want to learn to shoot competitively, if you want to get your license to carry for here in Texas, if you want to learn more about home defense or anything like that, we're kind of a one-stop shop, if you would, for anything gun-related.
I got the opportunity to visit your shop when I was in Texas, and I was really impressed. And I think you were kind of taken aback when I was like, "Whoa, hey, you've got all these race guns in the case here," whereas I'm used to seeing some Glocks and some Kel-Tecs and little 38s and everything. You guys actually had a really good selection of decent guns that people listening to this show are looking for. It's kind of interesting.
Absolutely. We carry a full line of STI stuff. I probably have 85 to 90% of their models in stock at all times. We're out of stock on some of the hard to get stuff. It sells as soon as it comes in, but everything from the top end STI race guns to Glock 34s to pretty much anything you might need for competition stuff. We sell the gear, shot shell caddies, and everything else too.
Yeah, it was cool to see that type of stuff actually in a shop, whereas normally you gotta order from Brownells or Midway or all the other companies that support us. But it was cool to be able to see them live and test them out right there on the on the
Yeah,
floor. It's kind of cool.
yeah, you've got access to all of it right there. You can put your hands on it. We just opened up our new website, gunsplus.net. It's a full e-commerce site, so you can actually buy a lot of the stuff online now from us too.
Very cool. Sweet. I'm gonna check that out then. So Kyle, what started first for you, the shop or shooting 3-gun?
So the shop started probably about 6 months before I shot my first competition. Kind of got it up off the ground. It started as a kind of like a little test project to see if it would work. We had just gotten back from a deployment and uh, opened up a little small gun shop on the other side of our office over off Industrial Park Circle in Georgetown. Little bitty thing, like 300 square feet, maybe. Just basically our own personal guns from our collection, a little stuff we bought here and there, and just to try it out and see if it worked. And it ended up working out great. People really appreciated the expertise that we brought, and our prices are real good, so it it took off. That was about 6 years ago. The first match I ever shot was a 2-gun match, pistol rifle match that a buddy of mine was putting on, and he asked me to help him with some stuff and invited me out, and I came out and was hooked ever since.
Well, that's cool. So the shop started first. What was it that made you want to start a shop? I mean, that seems like well, you mentioned you came back from deployment and it was kind of an experiment, but what was the catalyst that made you go that route?
So I'd gotten our FFL the year before, just kind of as a hobby, so I could buy guns at cost and save a little money here and there, and started selling a few things online on the internet, and that worked out pretty well. Got to meet some cool people doing stuff, and it seemed I don't know, it seemed like something that would be fun to do, and turned out it was, and it worked out great.
Cool. So then, like, a good compliment, obviously, to the shop is going to be shooting competitions, which gives you exposure to the I don't know, I guess your customer base in your area and stuff like that. So that first 2-gun match, was it like love at first shot, or was it like this is okay, and then you had to be coaxed back into it, or how did that first match go?
It was really, I didn't know what to expect. I don't know, I kind of brought all the wrong gear. I brought all the stuff that I thought would work great, which most people do to their first match, that looks really good on paper. Oh, this is going to be awesome. This is going to be exactly what I need. And you get there and it is absolutely wrong. But it was a great time. I really enjoyed it. And I think it was like the next day I started going, oh, I need this, I need that. This is what I actually need. And, putting together a little better gear and equipment.
So what did your kit look like for that first match then?
The first match was a SIG P226 pistol in 9, and I had a SIG 5.56 rifle with an EOTech on top.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And
they weren't terrible, but they definitely weren't the best.
Right. Well, that SIG 5.56 is it's a cool rifle, but it's kind of heavy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a brick.
And so then, did you do well in that first match?
I didn't place last, so that's a bonus. I think it was probably about the bottom 30%, maybe somewhere in there. So it wasn't terrible for a first match.
Nice. Yeah. The funny thing about like your first match is, as long as you're not that last guy, and and it gives you the confidence to move on, then
Exactly.
Most people go from there. Or even if you are that last guy, sometimes the hook is set anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So when did it get serious? When did you you started buying stuff the very next day? When did you get out for that next match? And then how did how did you keep that pace?
From there, I shot a couple of pistol matches. They were okay, but the rifle and eventually shotgun aspect of it really were my cup of tea. It is a lot more challenging. Started shooting some of the monthly matches probably a few months later, pretty regularly. try and shoot one every month or two. It's probably about a year later that I really started getting into it and started, getting better and getting better gear and picking up a couple of sponsors and things like that.
Now, when you went to those local matches, was that Copperhead Creek? Is that where your local matches are at?
Copperhead Creek wasn't around then. It was at Best of the West. It was with Texas Multigun.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Which they still run a monthly match there too, and then Copperhead has theirs. The area I'm in here is great. You can literally shoot 4 club matches a month within an hour and a half of here.
Wow.
If you want to.
That's a lot of club matches to shoot.
Yeah.
So Kyle, what was it that made you get serious about it when you did a year later?
It was just really starting to build the skill and confidence to start finishing at the top, at the club level matches, and kind of want to take it to the next level and start shooting major matches, out of state, places like that.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember the first place that you traveled to for a match?
I don't. They all kind of run together.
Yeah.
It was more than likely it was Kentucky, just because there's so many matches there.
Yeah, no kidding.
Out there at Rock Castle.
Yeah, I was just reading my schedule off to you before we started recording here, and yeah, I was like, Kentucky.
I think we're only shooting one there this year, though. Pro-Am out there's, I think, the only one I'm shooting in Kentucky this year.
Well, most of the matches are coming to Texas now. They're just right next to your house.
Yeah, it's awesome. We're 45 minutes away from Copperhead Creek's range, and we're getting more and more major matches out there. So it's great. Anytime you can shoot a match and sleep in your own bed, it's a bonus.
Oh, no kidding. So when you let's take it back then. When you started traveling and you started going to these bigger matches, I've had one of your buddies on the podcast before, and it seems like you guys always get into some sort of shenanigans.
There's always fun stuff that goes on. Anytime you've got a 14-hour road trip, and we generally just drive straight through, there's usually some sleep deprivation induced shenanigans that occur. The first year we drove my truck to just about everywhere. Worked out pretty well. We only threw a belt off of it one time and had to park it and get Napa to deliver us a part, and then go knock on doors and find some tools and change it right there in the street. Other than that, it was good. And then the next year, or year after, I don't remember when, we started getting rental cars because we figured the money that we saved on the gas actually broke even with the cost of the rental car, and it didn't put a lot of miles on my truck. And it's a rental, so you can treat it like a rental.
Well, so your travel buddy is Nick Atkinson, right? And you guys still travel to matches together today. Yeah. So this treating it like a rental car thing, was that from the get-go, or?
Oh yeah, that was right off the bat. I mean, these things get more airtime than a Dukes of Hazzard episode. It's pretty good.
So what's one of the more memorable moments you've had in a rental car?
In the rental cars, there's been a few. Trying to make it up the big hill when it was muddy on the backside in Kentucky was probably one of the best. Pretty sure I bent the frame on that rental car. I think it was 2 years ago, so the statute of limitations is up, so I can talk about this now. Hit a hole so hard that the tire came up and ripped the fender well out and took one of the rocker panels off. We had to duct tape and zip tie those back on later.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's pretty spectacular.
And you returned it with no problem?
No problem.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you got to give them the Kansas City Shuffle when you turn it back in, distract them a little bit so they don't notice things. But
the Kansas City Shuffle. Where did?
Yeah, you look left, they look left, you go right. Kind of.
Oh, I gotcha.
You never seen Lucky Number 11?
No.
Go watch it.
Okay. Right, I
It's
have
good.
homework now.
But yeah, that one was interesting. We had a rental car in Missouri at Generation 3 Gun last year, and we taped a big bat symbol on the front of it, and it had rained a lot, so it was super muddy. So really, the only way to get through it was to go faster.
Makes sense.
So we'd hit these giant mud puddles going about 40 and shoot mud up in the air. So it was pretty good.
And then that particular bat car got returned. I'm assuming a lot of mud caked on underneath and everything.
That one, so we generally take it through a car wash before we bring it back, just so they don't have any reason to look any farther. So mostly clean. Yeah, that one we ended up washing it off and taking it back. At least the top side. The bottom side was still grass and mud and everything else, but nobody ever looks under there anyway.
So this is this has been like a few years of a journey for you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like you're continuing to get better as a shooter? And what is it that you do, like in a normal practice regimen type thing, to make sure that you maintain your proficiency?
So I do think I'm improving. We've talked about this some. The talent level and the skill level of just the general people shooting is going up at an amazing pace as well. It's one of those where if I could take how I'm shooting now and could apply that to 4 years ago, you'd be winning almost every match just because the skill level has gone up so much. So it's always changing. Normal practice session, it depends. Sometimes before certain matches, there's specific things you want to work on. So before Fallen Brethren, that's usually a pretty long-range, heavy match from different positions, a lot of freestanding shooting as well. So we'll take the rifles and really work them pretty heavy. Make sure you know where all your holds are dead on. You can get into position real fast and get on the trigger quickly. It just really depends whether it's kind of a general practice session or if there's specific things you want to work on.
And how often do you get out to practice?
Not near enough.
Yeah.
I probably get out to the range maybe once a week to practice on a good week. It's pretty funny because everybody goes, "Oh, you run a gun store and a shooting range. You must shoot all the time." And my response is always, "Well, see, I run a gun store and a shooting range, so I don't have time to shoot."
Right. Yeah, it's the old story: the shoemaker has no shoes, right?
Exactly.
Well, so
it just depends. So before, like last year, before my pro match, I made it a point. I was out at the range almost every day for about 2 weeks before the match. And I think that helped a lot. And before major matches, usually will ramp up the practice a little bit more.
And so you've shot a lot of these matches that you're going to, in the 2016 season. You've shot them the last couple of years, so you have kind of like a feel or a flavor for them, right?
Exactly.
So you know what to expect. So are there, like, pick a match that's coming up and then give me and the audience an idea of how your practice is going to look for that particular match.
So we're going to go shoot the NRA World Shoot, which is not technically a 3-gun match. It's a match that, is every shooting discipline that the NRA supports, basically, and you shoot all prop guns. But for that, we'll go and shoot skeet, trap, sporting clays. We'll go practice kind of small bore style stuff with 22s, a little bit of 3-gun stuff, but for that match, we'll go practice all the weird stuff. So one-handed bullseye shooting, some movers for Bianchi Cup stuff, and try and practice all the things that we don't normally shoot.
Yeah, that's interesting. So do you have you mentioned that you run a range as well. Does your range have like the facility to be able to shoot like movers and?
No, there's a couple other places that we go to do that. Our range, it's pretty basic, but it does almost everything that I need to do. We've got the old 3-Gun Nation shoot off set up all the time in one of the bays. Good amount of steel so we can go out there and practice.
Oh, that's way cool. So it's like almost cheating, man. You got it right in your backyard.
Yeah, exactly. If only I had time to use it.
Well, yeah, there's the time and the facility. You've got half of that, so you need to work on the rest. Well, Kyle, you mentioned something interesting a minute ago. You said that the general skill level of three gunners is going up, and that if you could shoot your game now 4 years ago, you'd be winning the matches. What do you
Hmm.
attribute that general raise of the skill level to?
It's I think a lot because three gun is still a fairly new sport. That being with it constantly evolving, there's always some new technique or something new that somebody's going to come out with that improves the game just a little bit, and then everybody sees that and picks it up and adds it to their own repertoire and starts using it. You look at matches 4 years ago, and almost nobody shot on the move. It was common practice. Okay, get to a position where you can see the most targets, stop, shoot. Now run over here, stop, shoot. And now, the guys that are winning and placing at the top of matches, everything you can is shot on the move.
Right. So, I guess another good example would be quad loading. Like if you could have quad loaded like 4 or 5 years ago when people were doing the weekend, you'd have been
Yeah.
miles ahead of everyone else.
Yeah, I remember when Carbon Arms first started coming out with they came out with their Load 2 system and started messing with that a little bit, and it was a little faster than Weekend, but obviously everybody had been practicing Weekend for years and years and years trying to get, better and faster. When we heard of them about to come out with the quad loading system, me and Nick actually started practicing it, just grabbing four off the countertop, getting the hand dexterity to get it going. And when the caddies actually came out, it was a pretty smooth transition to being able to use it and pick it up real fast. And it definitely improved shotgun loading times.
Yeah, for sure. Now back to the shooting on the move. Is that something that you then practice yourself? Is shooting on the move, or does it just come naturally to you during a match?
No, that's something that you definitely practice. That's something that's really hard to practice without actually shooting. So dry fire practice, shooting on the move, you can get some practice out of it, but it's just not quite the same. Being able to shoot in the cadence of you actually moving and your body moving around at the same time is a skill that you just have to go to the range to practice.
And how do you set up drills for that specific type of practice?
Most of the time, I'll use steel just because it's a lot easier than having to tape targets or things like that, and it's an instant confirmation whether you hit it or not. The thing that you have to do is figure out how fast you can go based on how big or small the target is and how far away it is. So you'll practice, on C zones at 10 yards away with a pistol moving, and move until faster and faster until you start not reliably getting your hits and go, okay, that's kind of the limit there. And then maybe move the targets farther away and try and figure out what the limit is and how fast you can go.
Got it. Now do you practice going like forward and back, side to side, or all of the above?
Yeah, every which way. If you want to practice it, shooting across your body. If you're right-handed, shooting going left, practice coming back the other way, shooting right, which is a little harder. Coming into it, backing out of it. Basically every which way you can.
Gotcha. Now is that something you're constantly improving to increase your pace as you're shooting, or have you reached like a level that you're satisfied with it?
Oh, never satisfied. Always want to go just a little bit faster. So you're always trying to improve that, little by little.
Gotcha. Now with the Pro Series and the Pro Match, especially last year there was a lot of like basically stand and deliver type stuff. Now this year we're seeing more options for movers and everything, so that's really starting to come into play.
Yeah, they change it up every year. Last year it was a lot of stand and shoot. There was very little shooting on the move. I think there was only 2 positions where you actually shot moving into them. I think they kind of realized that people want to see a little bit more movement, a little more shooting on the move, more dynamic stuff, and have adjusted fire for that.
Yeah, it's I guess a lot of them could have been like analogous to like Steel Challenge, like stand and deliver type stuff, which is
Right.
not necessarily what traditional three gun is about. Granted they have to make concessions for the television show and everything, but it's cool to be able to see a little bit more, like you said, dynamic movement this year from the Pro Series.
Yeah, definitely. I think it makes for better TV as well.
Think we'll ever see that in the shoot off?
I don't know. I don't know what they have planned.
Trying to think of how you'd be able to do that with movement and not have it be all goofy wonky.
Yeah, I don't know.
So Cal, we covered your entry into three gun, your match series, and like how that you got into shooting major matches and everything. What does your match schedule look like this year, and what are you looking forward to shooting the most?
So this year we shot one of the regionals, almost shot the one in Texas. Then it started raining, and didn't end up making it back to shoot the match.
Which was fine with me because I ended up with 3 new guns in my truck at that point.
Oh yeah, well that's true. So it started pouring rain, monsoon force rain.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
And Dave drives his truck up there, and everybody throws their guns in there. Well, I end up leaving, and so Dave still has my guns. So I'm like, well, that's fine. They're secure. They're with Dave. No big deal. I'll meet up with him before he heads out. Meet up with him.
I was trying to dodge it
later. Yeah. He was trying to get away from me, but I tracked him down. Opened my rifle case, and the nice F1 rifle with all the holes cut in the receivers have about 40 zip ties stuck through everywhere, sticking out like a cactus.
We had to ensure that it was safe.
It was extra safe.
It was extra safe.
Super extra safe.
It was a nice rifle. I hated to give it back.
Well, I mean, I know a guy who sells them.
That's true. You have some sweet ones in your shop too.
Yeah, they're a great product. We sell a lot of them. They're a local Texas company. Super high end product for a decent price. It's hard to beat it.
So you tried to shoot the Southwestern Regional, and that's as far as we got. What other matches do you have on your schedule this year?
So this year, the next one we're going to shoot is the Pro-Am. I was going to shoot FN. We ended up canceling that one. There's just too much going on. After the Pro-Am, it'll be Generation 3 gun, then the NRA World Shoot, Fallen Brethren, Starlight, Jeff Chase's Zombie Match. I feel like there's another one in there somewhere.
Is that Zombie Match another Texas match?
Yeah, in Texas.
Is that a night match or
night match?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. You should come out to that one.
When is that one?
It's the last weekend in October.
Gotcha.
If I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Well, so
yeah, that one's always a blast. There's always a moving vehicle stage and lights and lasers at night. It's a good time.
Awesome. Well, now, so I just had Chuck Anderson on the show, and we were talking about night matches, and you and I were briefly chatting before we got on the show here about night matches, and you did pretty well last night at the Starlight 3 gun.
Yeah, it was. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy night matches. I do pretty well at them. It's one of those where we shoot a lot at night, hunting and everything else, and practiced a lot of lights and lasers and different stuff working for the defense contracting company I did before starting the gun shop. So it comes pretty natural to me shooting at night. I think a lot of people don't shoot at night, and they don't know what their gear does or how it works at night. And you see it a lot at these matches where guys will have flashlights and they can't handle the abuse of being out next to the comp on their rifle, and next thing you know it starts flashing or turns off or breaks. different things like that. So really knowing your gear and having the right gear makes a big difference.
So you've got all that sorted out because of the night hunting and everything that you've done beforehand.
Yeah, and there used to be a local night match that we would shoot once a month a couple years ago. So that was a lot of good practice too.
Oh, cool. So when you're shooting like the night match and when you started shooting that local match, what did you notice about your gear that you had to change that gave you like or has given you an advantage for night matches?
So for night matches, historically night matches have been really short range. Everything is inside of usually 40 yards. So I've almost always run just an EOTech or an aim point or something on top, which actually hurt me at the Starlight match and I think cost me the win there. Chuck hung targets out at 175 yards that were kind of lit a little bit. You could see them through a scope, but looking at them through an EOTech didn't work out so well.
I gotcha. So you're like kind of hunting for them with
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 couldn't
rounds?
find them, couldn't see them. You could barely see them if you looked off to the side of your scope, and then you look through your scope and they're gone.
Oh, weird.
It was not fun. So second to last stage of the match, I was actually I was beating Nick at that point, and then he made up about 15 seconds on me because of that. So it was. Now I know what gear to bring to Chuck's matches.
Yeah, no kidding. So magnified optic this year.
Yeah, this year with it being in Texas and with the Starlight rules, you can shoot as many different guns as you want. So I can bring 12 different shotguns and shoot a different one on every stage if I wanted. Having the home field advantage here will be nice because I'm bringing the whole arsenal of everything I could possibly need or use.
Yeah, and then sleep in your own bed at night too.
Exactly.
So so you're gonna have like a golf cart full of guns out there.
Yeah, truckload.
And you're gonna have
I'm
a
gonna
caddy.
bring my normal competition shotgun, an X-Rail shotgun. I've got a Sega. I'm gonna bring probably a little short rifle with an EOTech. My normal 3-gun rifle. It'll be good.
Jeez, yeah, one of each.
Mm-hmm.
How many pistols are you bringing?
Probably 2. It depends if STI has me their new Costa carry comp out yet. They've got a double stack 9mm with a rail that's got a built-in single baffled comp into the slide. So it's like a normal 5-inch setup, just with a 4 1/4-inch barrel and a single baffled comp. It's pretty sweet. Get them to mount an RMR on that for me, and hopefully that one will be done before the match, and I'll get to shoot that.
That sounds pretty awesome. So you're going like a full gamer on this thing, huh?
Definitely, 100%.
So what's the advantage then of for someone listening doesn't not real familiar with night matches or what we're talking about, what's the advantage of having like say 2 rifles or 2 shotguns that you can swap between?
So shotguns, especially when you can have multiple different kinds of setups. Let's say there's a course of fire that's just 25 birdshot. If I've got a shotgun with an X-Rail on it that holds, I think, 27 in it, I don't have to reload. I don't have to do anything. I just shoot the whole course of fire. Now, if there's a stage that requires, birdshot and then slugs and then birdshot and then slugs again, or some kind of intermix of them, something like a Sega would be great because I could have mags loaded with different bullets in it. So I wouldn't have to worry about trying to count my load backwards into the shotgun, and if I miss a shot, it throws it all off. You just change mags to get different ammo. Right.
And then for the shorter courses, you've got your normal 3-gun setup.
Yeah, exactly. And rifle-wise, I could have, something fast with an EOTech on there for up-close stuff, and then a magnified optic for farther out.
Now, you see...
We're also debating having multiple pistols with lasers on them with different zeros. So at the last Starlight match, they had bonus targets at 75 to 90 yards that you're shooting with your pistol.
Oh.
So if that were the case and you've got a pistol with a 75-yard zero on the laser, you just put it straight on it and pull the trigger.
Oh, man. So this is going to be like a huge arms race for this match. Are are they gonna like have to name a rule after you for future matches?
I mean, I hope so. Cement my name in history.
I like it, man. The pistols with different zeros is genius, and I would never thought of that. What kind of time bonus was on those bonus targets last year?
I think the bonus targets, if you hit them, they were 5 seconds apiece, I believe, something like that. It was definitely worth it to try and wing a shot or two at them. I think I hit 2 or 3 out of the 4, so
Oh,
it ended
cool.
up working out.
Yeah, that's not too bad. So yeah, Craig Outson, when I took a class from him in March, he said it's only a bonus target until the first person hits it, and then it's mandatory.
Exactly.
So you're gonna
Yeah,
set the bar with all the bonus targets out there this year.
that's the goal.
So what? So okay. So after this year, what's your long term goal? What are you looking forward to in three gun for yourself?
And three gun for myself, it's a lot of fun going out and shooting all of the different outlaw matches all over the country. I really enjoy it. Working with several of the different manufacturers is another thing that's really great. So F1 Firearms and STI both sponsor me for my rifle and pistols, and helping them develop new products is great. So when STI came out with their new three gun DVC that I shoot, I actually got the prototype from them. They sent it to me, said, shoot the hell out of this thing. Tell us what you would change. If you make modifications to it, tell us what we need to do to make this thing ready to bring it to market. And that's what I did. And they made some of the changes to it, and I think it's the best three gun out of the box pistol you can buy right now. They're pretty amazing.
Well, that's pretty cool. So it's nice to hear when manufacturers are actually using their sponsored shooters to get that feedback and develop products rather than just like hey, go out there and let me know how you did.
Exactly. It's refreshing because a lot of manufacturers, I've worked with some in the past that go, hey, yeah, tell us what you think, and you go, well, you really need to change this, and they go, oh, okay, cool. Well, I don't think we're going to change that because we like the way it is.
Yeah.
Why'd you even ask?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's like the guy that wants a recommendation on a shotgun. You're like, well, I would go with this one right here, and you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna get the one I was talking about to begin with. It's like, well, then don't ask.
Exactly.
Oh, that's awesome. So you have that relationship with STI and F1 because they're local.
I was shooting STI before I actually picked them up as a sponsor. Just they're kind of the premier pistol for competition shooting out there. But being local helps. I'm on pretty good personal level with a bunch of the people who work over there. They're friends of mine. Obviously, we sell their product in our store. And it's something I believe in, so I can sell it. And if I'm shooting it, I can sell it even better.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, it probably helps to cement that relationship when you're actually selling their product on the shelves too.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing with F1. They're a great local Texas company. They have state-of-the-art machinery. They keep everything to super tight tolerances. It's an amazing product, and I'm glad to be able to shoot it.
Yeah, F1 pretty much, from my perspective, came out of nowhere. I would say like they weren't on my radar at all until I don't know. I guess last year I saw like a handguard they made, and then this year they put together a huge team and everything, and of course I got to play with your rifle.
Yeah, yeah, they're pretty darn nice. Between that and support from ammo manufacturers. So Highland Lakes Ammo is a sponsor of mine. They're hlammo.com. Great product. He works with me, custom loads anything I want. If I go, hey, I want to try out this new wild, crazy idea for a load that might be faster or better for some reason, he cranks me out a batch of it, and it either works great or doesn't run right. Or either way, it's nice to have that relationship.
And then you only have your self to blame on that one.
Yeah, exactly.
So are they a Texas company too then?
They are as well. They're out of Burnet, Texas. So
Oh
about
yeah,
30
that's
minutes away from me.
yeah, that's real close to you.
Hmm.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So like you've got all your sponsors are local companies to you.
Yep, keeping it local, keeping it in the state.
I like it, man. That's pretty cool. So Kyle, what is the best piece of advice that you've received in the sport of three gun?
Best piece of advice, probably to not cheap out on gear.
Ooh, that's
You
a good
know,
one.
yeah, don't buy the cheapest one, or I can't afford the one I want now, so I'm just going to buy this, and it'll probably do almost the same. It never does. I tried to do that with optics for the first couple years, and it's not a good idea.
Yeah.
Save your pennies and buy the good stuff to start with. It'll save you money in the long run.
Optics are a huge one, and I think that's where I first learned that lesson was optics. Like if you are, put your heart and soul into building a rifle, or you buy a nice rifle and then you put a junk glass on there, then you're never gonna enjoy it. It's never You're gonna chase zeros and spend twice as much ammo as you would have on finding a good zero on a normal or a quality optic.
Yeah, or being able to call your shots at distance. So looking
Yeah,
through my optic at 400 or 500 yards, I can watch exactly where the bullet impact was and adjust fire from there.
that's a good point. And what out of curiosity, what type of optic do you shoot on your rifle?
I run one of the Swarovski Z6Is.
Okay. Yeah, super clear glass on those things.
Yeah, definitely. So good reticle, good bright dot, super clear glass. In my opinion, it's the best one for shooting three gun on the market right now.
What what is the area of your game that you think you need to work on the most?
Work on the most. It just kind of depends. It fluctuates based on what I've practiced most recently. Uh, Probably shotgun shooting on the move is something that I need to work on more. It's just I can shoot a pistol and a rifle pretty well on the move. The shotgun just it gets me every once in a while.
And is that because of increased recoil or different sight picture? What do you think the reason is?
Yeah, you're not looking through an optic, so the sight picture is different. The way you move is different. The trigger's harder. I mean, everything about it is just a little different. And when you're used to shooting, stationary with the shotgun and knowing exactly how the gun's going to recoil and where it's going to bounce and what it's going to do, and then transitioning that to moving, it changes everything.
Right. Well, you probably see a lot of new and mid-level shooters on the range.
Hmm.
What are some of like the common mistakes that you see folks make, and how would you recommend they correct it?
Let's see. Probably the pistol aspect of it is generally where most people struggle most. Um, you'll see people try and go way too fast with a pistol, not get a good sight picture on it, and it's hard when you get out there and you watch people, who are blazing fast. Nick is an example. He's blazing fast with a pistol. You go out there and try and shoot the same cadence and don't hit a single thing. It it kind of gets in your head a little bit. The biggest thing with that is just slow down, get your sight picture, and make sure you get your hits.
Who do you admire in the sport, and why?
Who do I admire? It's a tough question.
It's a tough question.
Tough question. I mean, there's kind of a list of people out there who are good shooters. I mean, obviously Daniel Horner's been winning matches ever since I've started shooting three gun. He's kind of unstoppable, it seems like, at a lot of matches. Nick's a great shooter, guy that I shoot with constantly. Keith Garcia, he's been in the sport a long time. He's always there, right there at the top. And just a good bunch of guys. But there's a pretty long list of people who I would admire. That's what I like about three gun, is it's not, as snooty as some of the other shooting sports are. It seems like everybody's pretty down to earth.
Yeah, that's for sure, and you see it time and time again on the range. Like for example, the match that you and I were at together. There's I think we had like 3 hours to get down some walkthroughs on some very complex stages, and there's all kinds of interaction going with guys that you would say, oh, he's at the top of the game, or that guy's at the mid level of the game, or that's this guy's first major match. They're still doing that sort of interaction and talking to each other about stage plans and stuff like that. There's not real. It's not like a real hush hush like oh, it's a secret and like you said, snooty sort of attitude. It's pretty cool to be involved with.
Yeah, for the most part, everybody's pretty darn open about stage plans or this, that, or the other. Because, I mean, you're going to see people run it different ways unless you're the very first person who shoots that stage.
Right.
And, for the most part, I'd like to shoot against people at their best anyway. So if I've got a plan that's a little better than yours, if you use my plan, then, it's an even competition and it's all skill at that point.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's a good point. And it, when it comes down to it, it's a skill game, right?
Absolutely.
So, Kyle, can you tell me about your most spectacular disqualification?
Spectacular disqualification. I think I've only DQ'd from 2 matches ever. One of them, I threw my 2011 in the bucket, dumped it, and somehow the safety bumped off a safe in the bucket, which I have a huge issue with that being a match disqualification because the gun's not going to go off by itself in the bucket and it's pointed at the ground. But that's not my decision. That was a couple years ago in Kentucky. After that, I installed an auto safety on my 2011, so you shoot with your thumb on the safety, and as soon as you let go of it, the safety pops back up. So I never have to worry about that again.
Gotcha.
And then at Nationals last year, one of the ROs said I broke the 180. I don't think I broke the 180. If I did, it was super close, right on the line. But, I mean, there's really no arguing. It's one of those where he says I broke it, so I'm out.
Yeah.
Deal. So, no crazy DQ stories.
Gotcha. Well, then let me ask you a follow-up on your 2011 dump. So what do you think about the so I heard this argument recently from a friend. What do you think about the argument that it is technically unsafe because it has a grip safety?
Mine doesn't have a grip safety.
Ah, well then, there you go.
I pinned mine, so it does not have a grip safety.
Gotcha. Well, I'll move on then. So, Kyle, where do you see the sport of three-gun headed?
So, I'm hoping that it's going to continue to gain, viewership and a big fan base. It being a really dynamic sport that's awesome to shoot, fun to watch, everything else. Where I'd like to see it go is to have more of like the gallery part to it. So actual people coming to watch the event, kind of spectators being there and actually wanting to spectate and watch everything go on.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That I see a lot of people at at some of these matches, and granted they're probably like spouses or related somehow to a lot of the shooters, but it seems like they're enjoying it, and it's definitely interesting. And when we were in Nationals last year, the pro match, they had the chairs set up and everything, and that was actually a lot of fun and really compelling to watch as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think Chuck's doing a good job with the Starlight match. So the last year's match, he had an awesome band playing. There was a stage. It was kind of like a party mixed in with the night match, and I think things like that are going to help draw in people and really, when people start actually coming to the matches to watch it, they'll want to watch it other places too. They'll want to go online and watch it or watch it on TV or things like that.
Yeah, that's a good point. And for for Colorado, it's kind of rough because we have all our ranges out in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of like the high desert, and there's nothing around. But when you're talking about like Copperhead Creek's not too far from major areas, and unfortunately that's my only reference for Texas. But you can tell me, like, are there are your ranges like near other spots of interest and restaurants, hotels, things like that?
Most of the matches we're kind of in the same boat as everywhere. Your big ranges are going to be way out in the sticks. Copperhead Creek is probably the closest one to, a major city. You're 45 minutes away from Austin, 15 minutes away from Marble Falls. But you look at like where Fallen Brethren is, it's close to Jacksboro, which is super tiny. You're
Right.
an hour away from Dallas or more, so you're still kind of pretty far out there.
Yeah, well, and then you've got the Rock Castle model where they have their own hotel. So
Yeah.
and restaurant and bar and stuff.
bar, yeah. I've celebrity bartended at that bar before.
Is that right?
Nick and Nate are great out there. Me and Chris Kelly one night were there, and there's a bunch of people in the bar, and there's nobody behind the bar, so we just decided to go back there and start bartending. And I think it was Nate came over, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And we're like, "We're selling drinks." He goes, "What are you selling them for?" I said, "I don't know. We don't know how much they cost, so we're just charging $5 a piece." So I think we doubled their profit margin that night.
Sweet. Now, did you guys do the like bottle toss, like cocktail and stuff like that, or?
We did all kinds of stuff. I think there's probably still blackmail pictures from that night somewhere.
Well, awesome. Well, Kyle, it sounds like you have a ton of fun with the matches. You take them serious enough to place well and to get your practice and stuff like that. But it also sounds like you have fun in between, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, for sure. So, final question to wrap it up here. If you can leave the audience with just one thought or one piece of advice, what would it be?
Kind of on that same note you were just talking about, it's to not take it too seriously. It's you're out there to have fun, so have fun with it, have a good time. You see a lot of people get so bent out of shape when something doesn't go quite their way or they don't perform quite as well as they think they should on a stage, which I can totally appreciate getting mad at that. I hate it myself, but at the same time, there's another match, another stage, and you're there to have a good time.
Yeah, for sure. And I like that attitude, and it does happen. I had my first temper tantrum on the range this year as well. Luckily, it was at my truck once I cleared my guns and everything. But it does happen. But yeah, like you said, just keep in mind that it's fun and enjoy it.
Yep.
Well, Kyle, this has been great, man. I really appreciate you taking the time to finally come on the Three Gun Show and tell your story and regale us with your great match stories. So thanks for being on the Three Gun Show, man.
Well, thanks for having me on here, Dave.
I hope you enjoyed that interview with Kyle Simank. Kyle's a cool guy, and it's great to hear that he's continuing to grow Guns Plus and build strong relationships in the industry. I'll have links to everything we talked about, including pictures of Kyle's zip-tied-up F1 rifle and the Guns Plus online store at 3gunshow.com/episode 84. And don't forget to sign up for the July giveaway of the MGM Target Switch View lever. You got just a couple more days here, and you can check it out at 3gunshow.com/MGM. And when you make a purchase at MGM Targets, you can use the code DHMGM10 to save yourself 10%. You can also support the Three Gun Show podcast by using our affiliate link when you shop at Brownells. Just go to 3gunshow.com/Brownells and shop like normal. We earn a small commission on what you buy at no additional cost to you, and helps keep the lights on over here. If you like this show, please tell a friend. It does more for growing the show than you could possibly imagine. Show them how to subscribe in iTunes and leave a review by going to 3gunshow.com/iTunes. Now, a quick heads up on the 3 Gun Show programming. I'll be taking a couple weeks off until Rocky Mountain 3 Gun, so for the next couple of weeks, I'll be playing a couple greatest hits episodes from the 3 Gun Show's archives. Look for new and exciting episodes to come out following our M3G on the 17th of August. Thank you so much for downloading, listening, and subscribing to the show. I'm Dave Hartman, and I'll catch you in the next episode.
If you are finished, unload, show clear.